Good morning. I'm Gloria Keith with Action Speaks again, and I'm here to continue our readings of Research, Study, and History of the Gifted. And this research, study, and history was done for my new book called Every Child Born Gifted. So I want you to share most of the information or all of the information in reference that I've researched and studies that I've read and the history that I've absolutely been party of. So let's begin today by re-entering what our major topic is. They won't teach me the voices of gifted African American inner city students. When who I am impacts how I am represented, addressing minority student issues in different contexts. Your author is Deborah Harmon. Geographical code 1 USA. Date of publication January 1st, 2002. Publication Roper Review. The ISSN number 02783193. Now we're going to continue with the subtitle Cultural Assets and Desegregated Schools. I believe we went through that, and now we are actually, that's where we are. Cultural Assets and Desegregated Schools. Boykins, 1994, investigated the behavior of African American students and identified 9 cultural styles that he believed are learned in the home and manifest themselves in the learning preferences of African American children in the classroom. These cultural styles are cultural assets, or spirituality, harmony, movement, verb, oral tradition, expressive individualism, affect, communalism, and social time perspective. Spirituality is the belief in inner strength that non-material religious forces influence people's everyday lives, so that events in life occur for a reason. Harmony is the belief that one's fate is interrelated with other elements of nature's order, and that humankind and nature are harmonically conjoined. Movement is a preference for kinesthetic activities that allow for movement and experiential learning, while verb is an inclination for relatively high levels of stimulation. Affect refers to an emphasis on emotions and feelings with a sensitivity to emotional cues and a tendency toward emotional response. Oral tradition is a preference for oral modes of communication, such as metaphors, analogies, graphic forms of language, and code switching. Expressive individualism is the need for developing a distinctive personality. The needs for social connectedness, interdependence, communal learning, affiliation, and social acceptance is known as communalism, an orientation to time where the event is seen as more important than the time is referred to as a social time perspective. In predominantly white schools, where African American students are from predominantly African American neighborhoods, the cultural assets of African American students, coupled with the characteristics of gifted students, create additional educational challenges for teachers to understand their need. Ford, Baytops, and Harmon, 1998. Colangelo and Axum, 1979, studied inner city and economically disadvantaged gifted students and found that culturally different gifted students do have different learning styles from white gifted students. African American gifted students enjoyed and sought social relationships with their peers and enjoyed participating in cooperative learning. Ford, 1996, suggested that a cultural clash often occurs between the expectation of teachers and the needs of gifted African American students. In a traditional classroom, the behavior expectations for students include conformity, passivity, quietness, and competition, and may be inappropriate expectations for culturally diverse students. The literature reviewed for this study includes research on school desegregation and gifted African American students, the need for teachers to become culturally competent, culturally congruent teaching methods, and the cultural assets of African American students. Thank you for listening. That's what we have for you this time. Mull it over, think about it, and at some point in time, I'm sure we're going to have a discussion on these subtopics as well as the main topics for discussion. This has been Gloria Keith with Action Speaks, reading to you history, research, and studies of giftedness to authenticate my book, Every Child Born Gifted. And so it is. Good day.